over with.
Sounds so depressed.
I don't know. I'm not depressed. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about how to store information in a URL to go from page to page. Oh, thank you. That's a really common practice because HTTP is stateless. That means each request is encapsulated by itself. There's no data that you can pass back and forth unless you do something tricky. And there's a couple ways to do that. One is in the URL itself. You change the URL so that the click to go to another page has information in the URL itself that then can be passed to the next page. Or you do it through cookies. And we'll talk about cookies and sessions later. But for now, we'll just pass information in the URL itself. And you can see that if you go to Google and you search for something like PHP calendars, this URL here has all kinds of key value pairs in the query string. And these get passed from page to page. All right? So when I hit next here, this URL at the bottom, if you look at the hover at the bottom of the screen, has more information, and it tells me in that URL that I've gone to page 2 instead of page 1. So I click on that. It carries forward. I'm looking at the second. See, it says page 2. I'm looking at the second page of search results, and that is all up in here. It might be encoded. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, I don't see, they could have it encoded in these stuff here, you know, who knows. This is the query string itself that they're passing from page to page. PHP plus calendars.
Well, there was one on the right that said QI2 at start.
SQI2. So here's a 2. Let's see if that changes now to 3. Was that was start.
It's on the left side of the screen. There's start equals 20.
Yeah, so that's not it. That's the 20th result, but we're on the third page. That might make sense. But who knows? It's their own stuff there. And that's how they're passing stuff from page to page. They also use cookies for information, but they store a lot of stuff in the URL itself. So we want to try to duplicate some of this kind of stuff in PHP. Yeah, because who cares if you hack their search string? Doesn't matter. There's nothing inherently dangerous about adding calendars plus post. Well, I would only do it for things that I don't care about, like a calendar. Because a calendar, they could bookmark that and it would go to a specific month, for instance. So in calendars, you're going to have something like a URL that looks like calendar.com/month equals 12 and year equals 2013. So they could bookmark that, and if smart people could say, well, what do you have for next year? I could just go up here and say 14, and it's going to work. Well, some are not. But that lets you bookmark a specific page, and that the query string pieces are in that page, rather than just bookmarking calendar.com and then having to hit click, 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 click all the way to my month again. So in some cases, it makes better user sense. If it's sensitive data, no way. You'd never do that. You always do it through a post. So it always comes through some form. All right, so let's go. Yeah, right. Right. All right, so here's let's try and duplicate that information. So first of all, we need to have some URLs on the page that might say previous and next. Okay, so I'm going to do a little calculator that's going to add a number or subtract a number based on which link I click. So I need to echo out a URL. So how do I do that? I'm going to do it with this end of URLs just because it's easier than escaping the quotes all the time. And we're going to output a tag with a URL of the same page, previousnext.php. And then we're going to add into this some query string parameter, like I'm going to say num. Let's see, how am I going to do this? Yeah, no. Subtract equals 1. All right. And then inside of here, I'm going to say subtract 1 in my tag. And then I want to have another tag that's going to be similar that will add 1 to this. So I'm going to say add 1, and we'll say add 1. All right, so I have a key value pair here, subtract, and this is going to be a number, and add, and this is going to be a number. All right, so there's my URLs. Then I want to actually put the number that's going to be displayed. So I'm going to put it in a big H1 tag, and we're going to put a variable called result. All right, in a big H tag, H1 tag. So let's see what the URL looks like before I do any coding. Subtract 1, add 1. I don't have anything for my number. If I click on this, it goes and adds the subtract 1 to the URL and loads the same page. If I do add 1, it's going to go and change add 1 up here. All right, everybody with me so far? All right, so how do I get these data points out of a query string in PHP? Get, all right? So I need a variable number like, we'll call it add, equals what? $_get sub what? What is the key? Add, right. Trying to be funny over there, I see. And my subtract, there's lots of ways to do this, but I'm going to do it this way. Subtract. So I get the 2 data points from the URL depending on what they typed in, or depending on what happened here. This is not going to work the way I was hoping, but let's see what happens. We'll have to change it. So my result is going to be, yeah, this is not going to work. All right, so just do month. I'm trying so hard not to do month and days, so let's forget that. So I'm going to change this all the way around. I'm going to say my result is going to go in my URL string. And I'm going to call it num. I'm going to change this all the way around. And this is going to be result num equals result plus 1. All right, so I'm going to do a plus 1. Let's see, and to do equations like this in the URL, I'm going to put it in braces. And then this one is going to be, I think it's braces. What is this one? That is a simple expression.
Curly brackets, I think.
That's what I have, curly brackets.
Result result, I don't think you've set as a number yet.
Yeah.
So you see it as an integer. No, maybe that's not it. I don't know.
All right. Well, jeez. I'm getting more and more closer to a month thing. I really didn't want to do that. So the next result, adding one, is going to be next num, I'm going to call it. And the previous one is going to be called previous num. Boy, this is not working here. And so this is always going to be num. So my number that I'm going to get is going to be from my get string. This is getting confusing. I can see. Should we stop recording and start over again? All right. It's just one of those days. So we're going to get the number that's in the URL, whatever that number is, and we're going to store it in a variable. I know. So my previous number is going to be the number that I get from the user equals num minus 1. And my next num is going to be my num plus 1, which sounds like previous month and next month to me, but I'm just saying that's awfully simple. Man, I try so hard not to do it, and I just can't think of another way to do it. All right, so now this value, whatever that is already going to have the prior number in it. So let's see what happens. All right, so I don't have a number yet. So if I get to this without a link, let's see, I have to add a number. I have to go to something here. And I don't have this is why. Num has to be here. All right, there we go. So I have my add one here will change the num to 0 because the URL had it as the next number in the line. If you look at the bottom, my num equals 1. When I click on that, the num that I'm displaying is 1. If I keep clicking on this, the next number, I've already added 1 to it in the URL, and the previous number is 1 subtracted from that. So I can go up and down. All right? That looks awfully like a previous and next month, I'm telling you.
They're numbers.
They're numbers, yeah. So,
Let's say you wanted to go to 12.
wow, this is pitiful. So let's walk through again what I did. I have two URLs, and I'm passing in a value that I've calculated in my code. And so the URL itself changes. It has data in it that is for the future. It's going to happen in the future or the past in this case. And this is information that's going to happen to add the number to it. So I predict what those URLs are going to look like. So this might be a previous month. This might be a next month. And I'm going to add and subtract a value and change these URLs on every page load. That's the concept of the dynamic URLs. I'm changing those on every page load. All right?
What if I wanted to peg it at like 5? Is that possible?
It is possible, and you can do that in your homework. So here's the first problem. If my number, I don't have a number, so num is nothing here. So when I subtract 1, it actually works, but it doesn't display a 0. All right, so how can I fix that? So if they just come to my page without a number set, how would I display? Okay, set a default to, and where would I do that? Okay, I could. I could do a ternary operator. I could just set it to 0 as a default.
I'm not so sure it's going to work because well, it'll work. Never mind.
I don't, no, I don't think it will. Let's see.
It's if they try and refresh it, I think it'll
Because it resets it now.
So it resets it. So that's not going to work. So I need to use the isSet method, right? IsSet. If this is set to something, then I want to return what? Whatever it is. So here's a ternary operator for those that, yeah, get the num. Otherwise, with a colon, I'm going to return a 0. Take this out. So a ternary means if this is a Boolean expression, if this is true, the question mark says, is this true or not? If it's true, I'm going to return the first statement. If it's false, I'm going to return the second statement. And the result of that, either a 0 gets put into num, or the value of get num gets put into num. So it's kind of like exactly an if statement, but it's on one line. You know that. All right, there we go. So the first time through, I get a 0. I subtract 1. That's working. Add 1. That's all working. All right? So you're going to have to set some initial conditions, something like that. So in your calendar, when you go to your calendar, the first display should be the current month that we're in. So you're going to have to do some date time calculations to find out what month we're in. So you can display that, and then set your URLs for the previous month and next month like this. So there you go. I wrote your code for you again. No, not JavaScript. We're gonna return the server time, the time of whatever the server is running, wherever the server is running. So. Yeah, we're pretty safe within a day. You know, we're plus or minus a day. That's pretty close.
I mean, worst things worst, if you're marking whatever today is,
yeah.
Someone, 12 hours from might get yesterday instead.
Right.
If that previous number equals num minus 1 becomes a function, are you used to a function call to your URL?
You mean down here? That's the problem. It doesn't like in these multi-line commands to have too much to process in those. So you might have to set them as a variable instead. Variable equals function, and then use the variable name in here. Because if you put, to do that, I think you'd have to do, you'd have to put braces around it and call your function, whatever that would be. But yeah, so I don't know. Let's see if we can call something like function add and return to, and this is going to be add. So I'm not sure that's actually going to do anything. It doesn't look like it. See, I'm afraid it's not. I've never tried that. Yeah. Yeah, so you can't do that. It's got to look like a variable. So this has got to be real simple stuff. So you need to make this num or previous num, and then call your add here like that. There you go. So that pegs it at 2 because I hard-coded it. All right. So any questions on that? So don't do that. Any questions? No questions? All right, so I wanted to go through that real fast. Let's stop that so it's a separate recording.